have now is not really money. It's what's called like fiat currency. It's fake money. Yes. It's a debt, Federal Reserve note. And so what happens is that the Federal Reserve can assign any amount of debt to any person they want to, and then the lawyers, the judges, the people who are working on these cases, they know this. And so what they're doing is while they're sitting in front of your face smiling like they're trying to make a decision on what's really going on, they're taking money from those trust accounts. So if you go back to what's called the 1666 Sedicate Trust Act, I believe it is, or Sedicate Trust Act, 1666, you'll find that there was a trust idea where a trust would be created when somebody goes out to war or something of that nature, and that the trust will hold all of their property. And this way, while the person is gone, their affairs can be handled and all their business and money can be safe. And so if they were out to war and they were making money, that money can be deposited into that trust. Anything else that they had could be saved in that trust. And if anything ever went wrong, there would be money there to take care of them. Well, the state makes an agreement with the federal corporation that they will do this same thing under the Social Security Act. And so when you look at the Social Security Act of 1935, it tells you clearly in there, you'll be blown away, that everyone that is born gets $1.8 million on the first year and $1 million every year after. And so when you go to a court case, if you look up, I think it's called gmeiutility.com, if you go put your Social Security number in there, you're going to find that there's going to be accounts and people pulling money from your Social Security, from your trust.
Oh.
You're going to see it. Yeah. And so it's unbelievable what you'll find. And so what these people have done is they've found different areas of statutes and codes, which are not law, to catch you so that they can take money from your trust or take money from you or from your Social Security. So if you look at the Health and Welfare Act, look at the Highway Safety Act. When they pull you over and give you tickets, you'll see in the Highway Safety Act that there's supposed to be vehicles that are 10,000 pounds or heavier. None of your cars out there are 10,000 pounds. And the other one is 26,001 pounds, I believe. If you have vehicles of that weight, that's when they can pull you over on the side of the road and check you and see if you're doing wrong, or, you know, all that has to do with commerce or business. And so when you look at the welfare, child welfare and stuff like that, the state is writing a marriage contract with you, some type of birth certificate or something like that, and they count that as doing business with the state. So the mother is actually an informant telling that the child is being registered or offered to the state, and the state, under parens patriae, believes that the child is a product of the marriage, therefore it belongs to them, as the marriage certificate is a business agreement between the state and the lower level parents, which is fraud because they don't tell you that.
Right.
So nobody would take these stupid terms if they knew what was really happening.
Mm-hmm. I want to, you know, when you talk about Social Security, and I'm of an age where I applied for mine, and I have, David, the original birth certificate issued in the state I was born. It is the old black and white reverse negative. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? I think they called it a microfiche copy or something, that has the seal of the state on it. When I applied for Social Security, they said, "Oh, you have to register your birth certificate." I said, "No, I don't." "Yes, you do. You have to, or you can't get Social Security." I said, "Then give me back all the money I invested in it that you've taken out of my checks over all these years because I've been working since I was 14 years old. Well, no, register your birth, you have to. I said, show me the law. They couldn't. They couldn't. And I said, until you produce that law, I insist that I get a return on my investment here. Well, you have to register your birth. No, I do not. No, there is no requirement. And you're absolutely right. This goes into a trust fund. It is entered into this trust setting in your child's name, in your name. And then when the president or somebody else stands up and says, it is backed by the full faith and credit of the people of the United States, this is exactly what he's talking about. We just hypothecated all of you for our debt that we're creating. We just took everything that belonged to you because you registered and contracted with us when you registered your birth certificate or your child's birth certificate. Now we're on the hook for all of this deficit spending, for all of this overspending that goes, this craziness that goes on in D.C. We have made ourselves, by consent and agreeing to entering the contract by registering, which is a application to contract. With Social Security, and it starts there. You're absolutely right about that. But when you try to tell people that, oh, that's more of that conspiracy theory stuff. Oh, you must be one of those sovereign on the land people. Oh, why don't you go read this stuff? It's right in black and white online. It comes right. I can show you right where it's at. Why won't you go look at it? No, well, I just know what they told me. I get so tired of that, David. I get so tired of people are too damn lazy. And then when I see these kids coming out who have absolutely been denied any knowledge of what they are supposed to be and how they are supposed to be existing. That thing you talk about, the marriage contract, that's exactly when you apply for a marriage license, anytime you fill out an application of any kind for any purpose, you are applying to contract. And they don't tell you what the contract is, which is supposed to be illegal.
See, we can deal with that, though, because they're not giving us any type of meeting of the mind, we can deal with that. See, what they thought that they could just hide everything from us and do whatever they want to do, and we're going to just have to deal with it, and there's nothing we can do. Well, the thing is that they see this tool, the internet, where they can shut people down and they can do whatever it is that they want to do, and they can ignore us. But what they fail to realize is that the same way that they can use the internet for evil, we can use the internet to pass knowledge so much more quickly than we've ever been able to in history. And so now you see they've created systems like Facebook and different pages in order to be able to stop us. In order to be able to spy on us, and we fooled around and use it to tell everything they're doing in an instant. And it shocks them so bad that they have to do things like put fact checks up under our posts by Snopes, which is an entity that works against the people and is false. On top of that, you see where they're banning our pages. We talk about the Declaration of Independence, and they shut our page down. This is because they know that we're bringing the truth to the people, and the item that they thought they were going to use to destroy us became the tool that we use to educate each other so quickly in milliseconds. We can share something across the whole world. And so now, they're in a panic because we're finding out information too fast, and they can't cover it up quick enough.
Right. And you are exactly right about that, too. When they first started putting all these government documents online and everything, I've said before, I don't mean to be redundant, but when I first got the first computer I got was in 2001, and purchasing it, I thought, what did I buy this for? What am I going to do with this? Until I realized that search bar was like the opening to the library of the world. And here the government had all these documents, so you could actually read the documents, you could actually read the legislation, you could actually see what had gone on. And they thought we were dumbed down so far that nobody would be looking at this, so they were safe in putting it online, because later if you challenged them, they could say, well, it was right out there in the public, and if you didn't look it up, it isn't our fault. But unfortunately, it turns out to be the most highly trafficked sector of the net. And now they are panicked because you can't do something now and they not find out about it, 20, 30 years from now. You do something now, we know it 5 minutes from now, if even that long. And they do not like that a bit. So you are seeing this censoring going on. Twitter recently pulled down 22 million Twitter accounts. How could you possibly have that many accounts on there that were bogus that you didn't know about, if they were in fact bogus? Facebook is pulling down pages left and right, putting people in what we call Facebook jail for sharing too much. For putting out what they determined to be fake news. In other words, you didn't go along with the government story, so we're taking you down. Now we've got troll teams, these astroturfers, that try to come onto your website or your Facebook page or whatever you're using, and they attack everything. Alex Jones' site was famous for this. Part of your Google ranking, and I don't use Google anything, but part of that is the number of comments. And this is one of the ways they determine your ranking. Well, he had a fellow on there that if the commenting was slow that day, he'd get on there under about 6 or 10 different fake personalities, and he'd turf that line, calling people names, attacking other posters, getting vulgar and profane, and of course getting a big war going. The line would go insane because people would jump in there and their rankings shot through the roof, and it was all a diversion. And we have run into these trolls all over the place, most of them employed by government, the military, and corporations. And it is to shut you up. And the more trolls you get, the more trolling you get, the closer you know you are to the truth. Because otherwise they wouldn't bother with you. And when you actually land on the target, boom, they take your page down. So, this is how this stuff goes. This is how this stuff goes on. And trying to get the message out to people. Like you say, lightning is, information is traveling at the speed of light. They can't shut it down fast enough, because as quick as they shut it down one place, it shows up in 10, 12 other places. And so it's almost an impossibility, but they're doing it anyway. We are being censored. They are attacking free speech. People like you and me who speak openly about these things, the day is going to come, and I don't think it's far off, when we will be outlawed. We will be, our First Amendment rights taken from us. We're already seeing journalists put in jail. We're seeing website owners sued. And for not lying or fabricating, but for telling something they didn't want told.
And this is a good thing, though. This is good, because with every single tyrant that got destroyed, it was when he got full of himself and full of pride to the point that he openly says, screw you, I'm going to run you over. So this is awesome. Talk it down. Shut up. Because other people see it. When other people see, wait, this person has evidence of things that happened to them, and you're just going to shut down their page. What happened with the Bundy Ranch situation? They tried to throw these people in jail how many times? They tried to just destroy them, and the people said, no, we're tired of you. We realize that you're just trying to screw people. We're finished. So we just have to at the speed of light, we have to put the word out of what these people are doing wrong, and their evil and their pride will destroy them. So when the wicked people spring up like grass, that's when you know they're going to be destroyed. When they're popping up all over and taking over and doing everything they want to do and puffing their chests out, that's when they get sloppy. That's when they let people know their real intentions.
One of the things, Dave... Oh, go ahead. One of the things too, I say, in talking with you this evening and watching your videos and so on, it's not even just a similarity; it is the sameness of the method of operation of what they do in these probate courts, APS, and what they do in these divorce child custody courts, CPS. And it's the same operation. The convincing you that what they are doing is lawful when it is not. That they have a right to do it, and you are not in a court of law. And there are these stakeholders. That word just drives me up the wall. Anytime you see the word stakeholders, you are talking about the behind-the-scenes associations, clubs, rackets, whatever you want to call them, that are comprised of people doing the same thing who have formed this closed union, and they're running the show. Those are the stakeholders. Those are the money makers, and you're what they are going to make money off of. And, I talked earlier about hospice, David. They used to be the Good Samaritan outfit in the country. They're now considered the Grim Reaper. Their job is to cull the population of the elderly as quickly as possible, and they are doing it at an accelerated rate. And they are doing it through this system of trickery, just like you're talking about. No charges of wrongdoing, no other thing. The only thing is wrong is you're old, we want you gone. And
well, you think about this, the elderly have more property, more land, more wealth than anybody else in the nation. Also, they've been living the longest, so they have the trust accounts that have the most money. So you'll find these guardian ad litems that attach to these elders. They will actually attach themselves to their bank account, drain their bank accounts, take their property, put themselves on the deed, sell the property for half the price, a quarter of the price, just to be able to get whatever money they can out of it. As a matter of fact, I've heard, and I haven't confirmed it, but I believe it could be true, that they hold meetings at the elderly homes in the rich neighborhoods or the wealthy neighborhoods. And what they do is they'll have a meeting where they'll have a person come that's an investor, and they'll have a person come that actually deals with guardianship, and they'll look for people and ask questions. Well, how many of you have retirement? How many of you have this in order? How many of you have this? And they'll say, well, we'll give you a free consultation or something like that. And I hear that they're actually using that to get clients to snatch, and take their homes and take their money.
Well, David, what they do is they send out, like here where I live, solicitations for you to come to their meetings to learn how to avoid conservator guardianship. And all they're doing, and I've told people this, do not go, they're databasing. They're collecting, you have to fill out a form, everything you own, what it's worth, where it's at, who has access, how much money do you have in the bank, and they are databasing. And you can bet once you filled that paper out and had their free dinner and listened to their spiel, whether they wrote you up a plan or they didn't, you're in a database. And they also know that those papers they wrote up will be thrown aside by one of these ministerial clerks who is not a judge, and they will not tell you you are not in a court of law, which is why you cannot get a jury. And this is why we keep insisting these probate courts be abolished, and this go back into civil courts. If you're going to steal somebody's name and their identity and their property, let a jury hear the reasons. What crime did that person commit? And it has to be something other than aging with assets. There is no injured party. There is no crime committed. So they created this whole tertiary system that they refer to as courts, but aren't. Like you say, these are contracts, courts of contract. They are not. You called them not courts of record.
Yes, they're not courts of record.
And explain what that means, David.
Well, okay. Now here's something that's deep, and I was going to hit on it earlier. I started it, and I slipped up. So forgive me, please. But
that's all right.
So there's these tribunals, there's these administrative so-called courts that are created by the legislature that are running under statutes and codes. Well, what you'll find is there is something called a court of record, and many attorneys and judges have not been taught what a court of record is. Now, I'm going to ask you this real quick so you can let the people hear, because you're going to laugh when you see this if you have it in front of you. Do you have a Black's Law Dictionary 1 through 4 in front of you?
Do I have a what?
Black's Law Dictionary 1 through 4?
I've got 5 and 8.
Okay. 5 and 8 is going to try to trick you. 1 through 4 is going to tell you the truth. So it would be good if I could even show this to you, and you can read it off, because so people will know that I'm not making this up, that you're actually looking at this, you're reading it. I could have not sent you to do this or to create, to make up something unless, not unless, but I can't create something for you to say that you're reading in front of you. So
what do you want me to look up?
What I want to do is, I want to get you Black's Law number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4. Either one of them will work.
Okay, I don't have any of those.
I'm going to try to get you one. Let me see.
Okay.
Now, when you see what it is that's happening here, you're going to understand what I'm talking about, how they hide the law from the people. And that's their goal. They don't want you to know anything about what your rights are and what you can do. So I know you know of the word tribunal, right?
Right.
So you know what the tribunal is. Now, when we understand what a court is and what it really means, we'll really be getting somewhere. So let me see if I can find this Black's Law real quick. You guys can talk if you want to. I'm going to see if I can find the Black's Law and email it to you so you can see this. Because when you see it, it's going to blow you away. It's going to blow your listeners away.
All right. Now, in Black Laws 8, I'm looking at it right now, tribunal says, a court or other adjudicatory body, the seat, bench, or place.
So wait, it says court or.
Yeah,
right?
Or.
So it doesn't have to be really, it doesn't have to be a court.
Yep, it says the seat, bench, or place where a judge sits. Well, if it's not really a court, how could a judge sit there?
See, here's the thing. A court is the sovereign and his suit, his lawsuit, the person of the sovereign and his suit. So when a man brings a case, he can hold his own court. He can bring his own court. And when he says the bench, it used to be called the King's Bench. And if you go back to the Magna Carta, you're going to understand that the people had the ability to be on equal footing with the king. That means that every man can bring forth a case in the King's Bench. Let me have your email. I'm going to send you something real quick.
PPJ1. Pop,
B as in boy, B as in boy?
No, pop, jump. 1.
Okay.
At hush.com.
At what?
Hush. HUSH.
Okay. I'm sending it to you now, so hopefully it'll go quickly. Now, here's the thing. So, the man can bring forth a case in the at the King's Bench, which means that he's coming and he's getting everything that he's getting by his prerogative or his right.
Okay.
And when you do that, you're doing it in a court of record. And when you want to find out what court is the right court, you're going to find the court that has the seal, the court that is man on man, which if you lie, you go to prison. Really simple, right?
That didn't come in. It's P like pop, jump, PPJ, the number 1. At.
It should. It's probably going to take a second because it's a whole Black's Law 4.
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay. All right.
So, here's the deal. So, when you bring forth a court of record, now when you read your court of record, it's only going to tell you 2 different parts of the court of record, and that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got the Black's Law 4th. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to send you another one that's going to be the Black's Law 1st edition, just to see.
Okay.
Now, this is going to blow you guys away about how silly these clowns are. That is PPJ 1, right?
Yes.
We're going to see how silly these clowns are and how they're hiding stuff from us. Hush.com. PPJ1 at hush.com. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sending that out now.
Okay.
That's the second one. So I'm sending you some goodies.
Okay.
Now, did you get the Black's Law 1C?
Yes.
Now, here's the funny thing. Read the court of record to them from the one that you got open. Continue to read.
Hang on a second. Okay, hang on.
So it's where the judge sits, they say. Now, did you know you could be the judge?
I should be a judge. I would be a good judge. Yes, I would.
You're the one who's you're going to be the one who's bringing the law and judging to see if things are fair. Right. Now, I'm going to show you something it's going to make your knees shake. It's going to be so good.
Okay. Okay, I got it up and open. Now, where am I going?
So you're at court of record, right?
Wait a minute. Court of record. I'm looking for it.
You're in 8 or you're in 1? Which one are you in?
The first one you sent.
Okay, now, the first one I sent, so that's number 4. So I want you to read number 4 from theirs, and I want you to count the attributes. We're going to count the attributes that are in a court of record. And then we're going to go number 8 or whatever 10 that you have, and we're going to see if they tell us the same thing.
Okay. I can't find it. I found all these Latin terms. With a code of professional responsibility. Canon. Hang on, a code of professional. Good Lord, what a mess. This is terrible. I'm trying here. Do you have a page number, for God's sake?
Shucks. If you look at that second one, it'll be a smaller document, so it might be easier, because it's just the C's.
Okay, hang on a second here. Let me get this one down. Second edition. C section, okay. If I can get this open. Show details. Okay.
You got the court of record? You here? Hello? Hello?
I think she's still there, David. I think she's still there. I think she's off there looking.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, David, let me ask you this then while we're pursuing this avenue. What do you think it's going to take? Because I understand everything that you're saying, but yet it is imperative, though, that a judge has enormous power over your life and my life. And what do you think it's going to take to rein in the terror?
The only thing that will be able to fix this is what our forefathers left us. And so when we look at the Bible, and the Bible tells us that if something goes wrong in the church, to go to that person one-on-one, try to solve it in the private. Then it says bring a couple of witnesses. And then you see where it says take it to the church. Well, our forefathers created the court to be the same way. So when we look at Article 7 of the Bill of Rights, and it tells us about common law, and it tells us about how anything that's tried under the common law that's over $20 or more can't be heard in any other court anywhere. Not the Supreme Court, not some juvenile so-called court, not some APS court. It cannot be heard. The facts cannot be tried again. So what's happened is that people have tricked us into thinking that what they're taking us to is courts and our only recourse. What we need to do is take these people into courts of record. And when we see the definition of courts of record and we really understand what it really, really, really means, we'll all be floored, and we will be able to tell each other how this works and show the law, show how they changed it. Because when people see the fact that they changed it in the law, they'll know, hey, something is fishy. It's kind of like if you had a math book and it said 2 + 2 = 4. And then you had a math book and it said 2 plus and it was something missing, and it says equals something else that's missing, we can't learn math that way. So until somebody shows us that, hey, the book used to say 2 plus 2 equals 4, until we're able to show each other what it used to say, we can't really show each other what they changed in order to trap us. But once we see the evidence that says, wait, it said one thing before, and now you're telling me it's something else, why would you do that? So then people will understand, hey, you took away one of our most precious tools. So you notice that our forefathers would tell us how important a trial by jury is, right? Notice in the situation with the people, the Bundys, they wanted to railroad them, but they couldn't because the jury wouldn't let them. Now, what if we can show evidence and truth to the jury anytime we wanted to? You see what I mean? Are these actors going to come? Well, let's just look at your own case, right? You ended up in a court of record where you got the record to show the truth. And what happened with the social workers and different people who dealt with you? Did they want to come play games in a court of record?
No.
They don't want no parts of that. See, they take you into these tribunals or these fake business so-called courts because they know it doesn't go by the law. And you can lie. You can bend the truth. You can make up stuff that you want to make up to put in the reports because the judge is on the same payroll as you, and nobody's going to say anything. But when you get into those high courts, those courts of record where the judges are looking and they're saying, I don't give a darn what a statute says. I don't give a darn what a code says. You should have known that you can't just lie on a parent to take their kids. See, in the court of record, they go by the common law. And you can't do things that are wrong in the common law. So when you chase them, as you're the prosecutor or plaintiff and you're going against some defendants or wrongdoers, they're not going to want to come in that court because the penalty for lying in that court is prison. So they don't want any parts of that. So when you look in the same way, if we can, are you back? Is she back?
No. She's saying that she's on. She can hear everything that we're saying, but she cannot. It won't allow her to talk. She doesn't understand why. She got bounced somehow. She's saying we've got 15 minutes, so why don't you go forward there with what you were explaining about Black's Law's Dictionary and how it was perverted or, altered or changed from the first edition, the second, third, and fourth had similar or strikingly similar commentaries, and then on the 5th through the 8th, how things have been altered, and things are working. Go ahead.
So I'm going to try to get to court of record, so I'm really close to see. Let me get to court of record, and I'll read it off for you guys so you can hear the difference. Okay, so almost there. And this is from Black's Law 1, I believe. You got to forgive me, it's on my phone, so it's a little bit slower.
At least you know how to use these contractions. When I was following the waters, I didn't have any of this, And that's one of the things, David, like this weekend, Saturday, we're meeting with a bunch of our state representatives and, one of our senators. And I'm sitting in, I'm saying, where do you go? Where do you go when you go through the entire system? And one of the things is like what you had clearly established before, is that what gained me my children back was the fact that we got into a court of record. But then, even then, what they did was they gave me back my children in a concerted effort to conceal the crimes of what the lower tribes had done. And I'm saying, this is an abomination. We still need to have a remedy of relief for the grievances. So then they come back around and they say, well, this has to be kicked out under Rooker-Feldman. Well, we beat that at the Sixth Circuit. Then, we went on up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and I think that you're probably very well versed that we were scheduled for oral arguments on July 15, 2013, and then 2 days prior to that, the United States Supreme Court initiated Rule 28.8 that says no pro se litigant can take their case before the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, my argument is that in itself, I believe, reeks against the Constitution, whereas, I have to have a remedy of redress for my grievances. You never provided me one. You blocked access to me by going through, and it's the same thing with 1983 jurisprudence back in the day of Martin Luther King. We give the illusions of justice with no evidence to substantiate the claim. Because in 1983, prior to the KKK Act, they initiated these things saying that, if somebody did something to your father or your sister or your mother, if they took an innocent African American out and lynched them, which was predominantly factor, happening in the 1930s and 40s and in the 50s, that they would allow you to have a remedy of redress. But the truth is that show me a case. Show me where a judge has been prosecuted for violating somebody's God-given, constitutionally protected, unalienable rights. It's not there. And then you spoke earlier, you were talking about the Deanna Fogarty Hardwork case, and I've had the good fortune to speak with both her and with Sean McMillan. And the reality is that when Sean went in, he was saying, we're going to enjoin the judge, and then the federal judge comes back and says it will be too convoluted, it would be too frustrating and too much for the jury to decide. So before the jury even is allowed to hear all of the evidence, the federal judge put safety mechanisms in place to be able to shield the trial court, state court judge. And what I'm saying is that one of the biggest elements that I think we have to get around and that we have to have overturned, and that's the Stump versus Sparkman case. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, this is going to tell us how to get it overturned. So watch this. So notice these attributes. So this is Court of Record in Black's Law 1. A court where the acts and judicial proceedings are enrolled on parchment or paper for a perpetual memorial and testimony. So the proceedings have to always have a record to be recorded. Now, be on paper. CPS doesn't always do this. Sometimes they have no record at all. But let's keep going. And which has power to fine and imprison for contempt of its authority. Now, I didn't say jail. It said imprison. Now, the courts that CPS are going to, people are saying, why are we throwing these people in jail for lying? Because it's not a court of record. They can't imprison you for lying. Everybody can lie. It's not a court. Watch this. Here's another one. It says, a court which has jurisdiction, to find and imprison, we got that one, or one having jurisdiction of civil causes above 40 shillings and proceeding according to the course of the common law. That's super important. The common law is where you have to have seen firsthand knowledge of what you say, and if you say something that you don't have firsthand knowledge of, you could be in contempt of court. You'll get caught for lying. So CPS cannot bring in so-called evidence that's hearsay in a common law court. Also, when the court is moving by the common law. Also, common law does not go by rules or statutes.
Right.
Codes or statutes. They don't have any written codes or statutes you have to go by. Now I'm going to give you the last part. Well, one of the last parts. A judicial organized tribunal having attributes and exercising functions independently of the person of the magistrate designated generally to hold it. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
So here's what's happening. The person in the black robe is not a judge. He's a magistrate. And the tribunal is the one that's trying you. The tribunal is the judge. Now we're going to take it back to King's Bench. Under King's Bench, the king came as the judge to tell what his law is. And the magistrate just hold court decorum to make sure that everything is done in order. You see the difference? So in a court of record, you come and bring your law. The magistrate can't make any decisions. So the guy in the black robe who's working for the fake entity usually can't make any decisions in this court. So when you take your information into the court, you bring your law. I believe it is wrong for a man to take my property without my permission. The magistrate can only run the court case, but he cannot make any decision. And then at the end, the jury will make the decision on if the right or wrong was done. But there is no judge in a black robe making the decisions on what's wrong or what's right. So you can actually take your situation and prosecute the person who did you wrong and take it directly to the jury, and there is no judge preventing you from getting the truth out or blocking you or covering for the state or these associations. Now, the other thing that's not on this one, I think it's on Black's Law 4, is it generally has a seal. So you'll see that this court is to have a seal, and when you go to the right court and you bring your law before the court in a court of record, it's going to have a seal on the documents, and it's going to be man on man. Now, what I'm going to do is, I think I got one after 5, or she might have it. She's going to have the later blacks. I think she said she had 8 or 10, and I may not have it, but in 8 or 10, they only give you 2 attributes of the court of record. All it tells you is a court of records is the one that keeps the records, and it can fine and imprison if you fall into contempt of court. But it doesn't tell you that it moves by the common law only and not statutes or codes. It doesn't tell you that it generally has a seal. And it doesn't tell you that the tribunal, which you are the tribunal bringing the case, is separate and independent from the magistrate. The magistrate cannot make orders. You are not leaving them to make orders. So I'm going to give you an example so we can understand this. So you know how she talked about the tribunal with CPS or this other fake court, the APS, right? These tribunal courts come in, and the judge acts as a magistrate. He's not acting as a judge. He acts as a ministerial clerk, and all he does is take orders from CPS. So CPS will say, I think we want to take this parent's rights away. They say, okay, take the rights away. Hey, I think we want to lower visitation. Okay, lower visitation. I think we want to do this. Okay, we're going to do this. So they're acting in a ministerial sense as a clerk for the agency. Well, when you come in the court of record, you are the tribunal, and the magistrate works as a clerk for you. So they have to they have to sign your orders if you know about the true court of record. So when you're in a court of record and you start putting in orders, the magistrate is not to make his own decisions. He is to sign your orders.
Okay. Well, David, here's where we're at. David, we really, there's so much information out there. And, Marty, like I said, she got bumped off. I don't know how that happened, but it's been known to happen. And we suspect certain things. But what I'd like to do, if at all possible, what would be the possibilities of us getting you back on? Because you're just a wealth of knowledge,
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Look, you don't, like I said earlier, you don't have to ever ask me when I'm going to come on. You're a big brother in the Lord to me. I look up to you. I've seen the powerful testimony you have in your life and your strength and the great work you've done for the people, the countless hours you spent, the money you spent. So you don't ever have to ask me when you can get me back on. You tell me, David, you're on this day, and I'm on. As simple as that.
All right. I really appreciate that, David. We're down to less than 30 seconds. So is there any closing things that you'd like to say?
Well, the only thing I would like to say is that we as a people need to get together quickly and learn quickly and take this seriously and spread the word, because we don't have the time to play around anymore. We're at a time where Trump is knocking a lot of these people out, putting them in jail, and people are losing their jobs as judges and getting impeached all day and night. So it's time for us to move forward, make affidavits, show what's going wrong, and go after these people. Let's get it done.
Amen. Well, with that being said, Brian Ginger filling in for Marty Oakley. Join us again next